This, in the final episode of the Shamrock Goldmine, we managed to keep the Land Rover going long enough to get us down the gully to where we explore an overgrown industrial site. Sites like the Shamrock raise some interesting questions. Places like this survive because they're largely hidden and rarely visited. Yet if no one sees them, their stories risk being forgotten. So what is the future for the Shamrock and sites like it? So what's a better future for sites like the Shamrock? A, should we leave them as quiet ruins protected by their remoteness? Or B, carefully open up some sites so more people can experience the history? Or C, actively research and interpret these places so we can get a far better understanding? Let us know what you think in the comments and why. Hopefully we'll see you real soon. Cheerio for now, and I hope you enjoy this last episode. Now this is the site of the battery, where many thousands of tonnes of quartz were pulverised for the precious metal. Above this stone cutting here is the base of the inclined tramway that comes down from the lower adit. Just over here was where the large boiler was sited that drove the battery that was situated in here, and all of this was housed in a large corrugated iron building. Now once the gold bearing ore arrived at the base of the inclined tramway, it was transferred into small trucks which tipped the gold bearing stone behind the battery boxes. Here the stone was fed into the back of the battery. If the stone was too large to be fed into the back, it was broken up with heavy hammers and constantly fed the hungry piece of machinery. From the time that the battery was set up in 1906 to the time of the mine's closure in 1934, this battery was crushing constantly, and the average yield of stone for this whole period was about ½ an ounce of gold per tonne of quartz. The historical record shows that there are a lot of changes to this Shamrock plant over the years, and today, sometimes hidden amongst the blackberries, you can find traces of those changes. Now, it was in 1922, as they were mining the Landtax reef deeper, they required more powerful machinery to work the mine. And they had to install a large compressor to drive all the winches and winding gear and rock drills and so on. Somewhere around under this blackberry is a small trace of that compressor that they installed. Come on fellas, give us a hand.
Yeah, no worries.
How's that, Junior?
Only got the concrete about 6 times.
Yeah, just
Done
watch
well
the
today.
fabric, just watch the... This compressor that they installed was a massive piece of machinery, as you can see. The flywheel for it was over 15 foot in diameter and was suspended in this wheel pit just here. Once the whole piece of machinery was set in place on these concrete piers, it was then housed in a large corrugated iron building. At about this same time, another piece of machinery was reinstalled into the site, and we're also left with some interesting evidence of that above the battery here. About the same time as they installed that large compressor down at the battery site, they also installed a really large boiler, of course, to drive all of that extra machinery. But to fire that boiler, they required a strong updraft to fuel the fires. And to do that, they needed an extra long chimney stack. But of course, that would have required a chimney stack 150 feet in height. So instead, they used the hillside, and they dug a trench under the hillside and housed it with a roof, and up the top of that they stuck a chimney, and that drew out the smoke up the top. And this is that very chimney. It's fallen from its perch from which it was housed on the hillside up here. We'll go and have a look at the underground chimney, eh? Now this is the large collar where the chimney stack used to sit. It used to extend up that way. And down here we've got the chimney. Now we're in that underground section of that chimney stack, and it extends all the way down for about 30 metres to the battery site below. You can see here the nice stonework where they've rocked up each side of the trench, and then they've put short lengths of steel rail and flat sheet and then earth on top just to seal it and make it airtight. It's really interesting stone construction, and it looks in pretty good new condition. In fact, you can almost still smell the smoke from the chimney stack. Now this is just a rough illustration showing how that underground chimney system actually works. Now you can see here where they lit the boilers below, the smoke from which went up under this underground chimney up the side of the hill and then came out at a stack at the top, and this is where we were just a moment ago. When the cycle was broken in 1934 and the Shamrock mine closed down because the gold yield just wasn't profitable anymore, it was an end of an era for Harrietville. The Shamrock had employed numerous generations of men and their families for almost over 70 years, and it was a good source of revenue for wage earning men. Well, when the mine closed down, most of the equipment, or all the equipment, was removed from the site, and basically all we're left with today is just the footings and the stone walls and the echoes of what went on in the past. The Shamrock is actually quite an interesting mine site because from the top workings in the early days we can see the stone walls which once
had timber buildings with shingles and weatherboard on top, moving down later in time to these lower sites where they used concrete walls and had corrugated ironclad buildings. We also have the different eras of mining technology. Again, up at the top workings, the old mining techniques of hammer and tap, moving down to these later workings where they had air compressed drills and so on. Again, a contrasting technology over a long period of time. This site is one of over 2,000 sites on the State Heritage Register because of its important cultural heritage significance, and it's protected under the 1995 Heritage Act, as are most mining sites or any old sites, which just protects the remaining fabric from damage and stuff. So when you come to these sites, it's important just to respect them, because it's important that future generations can come to a place like this and experience that same sense of history as we've experienced today. Look, there's so much more about the Shamrock mine. We just haven't got time now to tell you about it. There's the stories of the tramways and how they treated all the sands, and I could just go on and on and on, but I won't. But just on one final matter, it's interesting to note that the very men that spent their youth tunnelling in the tunnels up on the hill up there are now buried in the same very soil that they once dug in, and some of them now rest in the cemetery at the bottom of Shamrock Gully. Oh, come on, Sean, let's just bloody walk. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
Bent one. Because it just doesn't match in with the other one. Yeah. Might have to get your pelican in here with it. We're still going to drop. We're still going to have to drop that one down deeper.
Drop it down.
Yeah, come on.
Can I use this?
Yeah, yeah.
Opens off your plate. We're just going to sleep in it now. It's a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great, mate. Oh, just bung it up a little bit. A good kink that one, isn't it?
Pen?
Oh, jeez.
Shit.
Could have bought a house for that.
And that's from £6 pen.
Outrageous.
Bloody hell. That's more than fourpence.
Hey, Smiley, what you got?
Lockets. And etc.
First prize.
How you feeling, Don?
I was good before.
Now I could do with some things around my knees, couldn't I?
In Boyangs.
Oh, yangs.
You even got your paper wet, look.
Yeah, do you want a drink too?
Would you want to party?
Well, it's crib time, isn't it? You know, like.
Yeah, well, this is right, yeah.
Get the billy on.
Ah, never mind.
There you go.
Oh, gold! Bloody hell, Don, it's always you, isn't it?
Gold out of mullet.
Gold!
Look, mate, look at that gold there, Donnie.
So what is the time anyway?
That looks pretty much like...
Oh, yeah, it does.
Oh, I reckon that was better than that, mate. Oh,
Hey, what about Wallace though? He's a bloody tosser, isn't he? Reckons 1,000 feet to go and he reckons he's going to get gold. Oh, yeah, my foot.
I'll make sure he gets it, to believe me, I want my bonus.
Bloody hell, you're right, yeah. Never mind.
We can go for it, I've got it.
Thank you.